am excited to talk all things food. I love food. I have not ate yet today, so this could be slightly problematic. um, but first, like I said, this isn't the typical type of interview I do, which was like another reason I was actually super excited. I thought it'd be kind of cool to switch gears and talk about something a little bit lighter than what I kind of tend to dive into. But I'd be remiss, if I didn't, of course, start off with just like asking how you're doing, like with life post pandemic. Like, are you feeling any heightened anxiety? Is it frustrating? You can tell people, of course, we're going to get into your background, but I mean, your job is you go out to these really fun restaurants, you eat this crazy good stuff, and now I'm sure it's limited what you can get delivered. You're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
Okay. So yeah, if you could just kind of talk about how's your pandemic life? How's everything going?
Sure. I mean, I kind of joke with everyone, but honestly, like this is very similar to my everyday. I mean, yes, like when I describe what Brunch Boys is, I always say like it's my food adventures from all over the world because I do travel a lot and I do go to restaurants and I'm out and about and that's how I'm sort of getting my content. But generally, if I'm in New York, like me out getting content is like 1 or 2 days for a few hours. So most days I'm at my apartment, I'm editing and I'm filming in my apartment, photographing in my apartment, I'm doing everything in my apartment. There could have been days on end where I wouldn't leave my building. Like there's a gym in my building, there's a market downstairs. I literally have everything at my fingertips. So I was very well adjusted to this way of living, especially just
Okay.
working at home. I had my routines. I've had to switch up little things. I mean, the gym closed, so that switches up stuff. You have to do more stuff in the apartment. You get outside. Now it's getting warmer. But yeah, I mean, in terms of money wise, it's different. A lot of my money comes from travel and events, and I can't do either one of those, so that has had to adjust. Content wise, obviously, again, I'm not out and about at restaurants, so it's been a creative challenge, which to me is sort of fun. Like, all right, when you're getting bored of the content anyway, great, here's a new challenge. You'd be like, well, how can you figure out what you do if what you do you can't do anymore? So yeah, I think like out of all the people to go through stuff, I was very well set up. I mean, I'm also lucky to be in an industry where immediately I lost a bunch of deals, or a bunch of deals went on hold. But I got a sense very early on that I knew that humans were adapt really, really well, and why we all felt very weird the first few weeks, and still feels weird now, I guess. But I was like that I agreed with the brands that like the ones that I couldn't physically do, I couldn't do. But even the ones that I could have was going to do in the apartment, it would have felt weird to do an ad the first few weeks. But very quickly, people adjusted, and now more than ever, they're using influencers for everything. Whether you want to cook or work out or get your news or get your knowledge, more than ever, they're going online. So it's sort of like it's become an even better opportunity for brands to get their messaging out there. I've changed how I approach them a little bit. I think like the ones that I've done, I've either specifically asked or they've come to me with the charitable component, which I think is nice. I think like
Oh,
trying to
very
do some
cool.
kind of good with it is nice. I mean, I always tell everyone like, I don't know, I got to make money too. So I don't feel bad about making money, but at the same time, I want to make sure that at least like some sort of messaging is there or we're donating money. Like I worked with Jaeger, and that was one of the deals that had gone away initially. I was supposed to be in LA for 2 weeks doing a whole giant campaign with them. Obviously, that couldn't happen, but they came back, and we ended up doing instead of doing an event together, we did a live event or IG live event together, whatever, and we were like able to raise money that way, and they donated $10,000 to Roar, which is an organization helping New York City restaurants and their employees. So it was like, okay, cool. We got the messaging out about their brand and their new drink, and I made money, and we did a lot of good spreading the message and literally donating money. So I'm trying to compile all of that.
That's really cool. That's really like the truly the best of both worlds. It's like you get to keep making a living and actually like do
Yes.
some good. That's incredible. I love that perspective because I think this time has been such a weird adjustment for people. Like I feel very much the same way as you. Like I edit, I work from home, and I feel very fortunate. Same situation where I just do a lot of freelance work and I'm home. But I know that that's been a hard adjustment for a lot of people. But I think we're more resilient than we think we are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think this is showing it. And I think I love the other thing that you said is like how this has stretched you creatively, because I do think when you create content online, it's it's easy to get into a rut. It's easy to fall into your practices just as if you had any other normal 9 to 5 and sort of lose that creativity, what kind of makes you unique. So I think that's really cool to hear that you're trying some different things. So if you could talk a little bit about that, like what are you making at home right now? What are you eating? What's that situation?
Yeah, it's been two different things. I mean, one of it has just been part of like personally, I feel like I'm just trying to improve at things and take the time to get better at things that I don't ever have the time. Like I never feel like I ever have time. And now like, okay, I'm in the apartment. Let's see what I can do. So just on that end, just becoming a better cook was sort of nice for me to do. Like I've been around food forever, but I just don't cook because I cook myself and I cook very healthy and basic and boring. And that wasn't ever really a big component of my content anyway. So who cares? Um, but now I'm like, okay, well, this is a fun challenge. How do I make this? So I've been cooking stuff on my own. And then, a big part of growing online and blah, blah, is collaborating with people and like, how do you collaborate when you can't even be near people? So what I've been doing is IG lives with some of my friends across the country where they're teaching me how to make some sort of dish. And then what I wanted to do was, IG Lives, obviously everybody's doing them and they're fun, but for me, they became, even when I wasn't doing anything, like for the first 2 weeks, I did IG Lives every single day, just eating lunch. People would come eat lunch with me, hang out, chit chat. And while there's not much work, it's still an hour out of my day where it's nice and I was doing it, but it's an hour of content that I can't repurpose or use anywhere else. So now I'm investing 7 hours a week into this thing that doesn't really help me that much. How could I readjust that? So what I decided to do was I do the IG lives. At the same time, I record them live via Zoom. So then I have a recording of both of us doing it, and then I go back the next day, recreate the dish again, and film it on my normal camera. So I have beautiful B-roll. So now out of this IG live, that's live for 24 hours and it's gone, or whatever. I know Instagram just changed it to they haven't updated for me, but pretty much you could now post them straight to IGTV and they live forever. I don't know if I want an hour video on IGTV anyway. No one's going to watch that. But so what I'm able to do now is produce a long form video for YouTube, which is pretty much the hour, a shorter form video for IGTV or just the feed, so a minute to 5 minutes or whatever it is, and then produce something else for TikTok and produce something else for Twitter. Now in that hour of work, or a little more than an hour of work, I have content for all my social channels. So I'm like, okay, cool. So now this is something personal level. I'm learning how to cook new things, which is fun. Content wise, I'm creating new fun content. I get to collaborate with everyone. Like, okay, this is still feels like my content, even if it's me just in my kitchen rather than in California or whatever.
Right. That's really cool. And what a cool way to connect. I think that's another thing that we're really learning how to adapt to. Like I just this past weekend hopped on house party with my two best friends that were in my wedding, and it's like they have kids, our lives are so very different. So it was such a cool opportunity to like each of us poured ourselves a drink and like caught up for an hour after their kids went to bed. And like that's where I really love, again, it's like it's stretching you to connect with whether it's your online community, your actual friends and family in your personal life, and kind of do these really cool things. I love the cook along idea. So this is something that's ongoing with you then that you're going to be doing.
Yeah, yeah, it's just fun for me.
Very
People
cool.
seem to enjoy it. I think people love when everyone collaborates. Like they like seeing that community on Instagram within just my friends and food worlds or whoever it may be. Um, and yeah, it's just fun and different. Where again, I always try and strive to be different. And all right, if everyone's doing these lives, well, I'm going to take them and do something else with them. Or if everyone's cooking, and how to do something different cooking with them. And I always say like I'm not a chef. Like I don't think I could cook stuff, but like people are like, "What's the?" I made what did I make last week? It might have been the egg white bites video. Like I don't know, I like randomly found some recipe and just like read it, but didn't really follow it because that's how I like cooking. So many people are like asking me for measurements and all these other things. I'm like, I have no idea. Like I don't measure anything. I eyeball everything because I'm not a chef. I'm just cooking and like kind of figure stuff out that way.
Right. I love that's really cool. No, I love that. And I think that's like I said, it's really cool to just be able to kind of connect that way and you know and switch gears. And speaking of your background in food, I know you said you're not a chef, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you sort of got into, you know, food and entertainment. Kind of what's your story with that? I'd love to hear a little more about that.
Sure, yeah. It doesn't make sense, and then it starts to make more sense. So, I went to NYU and I studied sports management. So at this point, it makes no sense. But I went in with my major. So then 2 years in, I graduated pretty much with a marketing degree, just a concentration in sports marketing. But 2 years in, I was like, oh, I kind of like this TV idea. What can I do with this? And I couldn't really take TV classes. It took a few, but I couldn't really study TV at that point at NYU. So I just started working. So I interned for SNY, which is the Mets network, and then I was field producing for WCBS, and then I graduated and worked at WWE. So it's all in the sports TV world, and this is a decade ago.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I started working in TV when I was 19 years old. So it's been and I'm going to be 33 in a month and a half. So it's been a very long time working in the media world. But anyway, so I worked at WWE and I left there. And again, because this decade ago, like there weren't that many places to work. There weren't these online outlets that did video. There were a few cable networks and there's ESPN, and I didn't really want to work there. And I pretty much already worked at half the places I could work at. I'm like, well, this is so silly to be in an industry where there's nowhere to work. So I was like, okay, what else can I do in TV? And it really meant starting over. But it became a PA in like reality TV New York, and reality TV New York, it's a lot of it is food. So I ended up on a food show, and I loved it. I've always loved cooking and eating and watching Food Network. Like it was always a passion of mine. I just never connected the dots to have that be part of my career. But I did it, and then I met Bobby Flay, and then I was his PA. So I always say like his assistant on set. So just like when he was on set, I was there to be his assistant. So getting his travel, making sure he was fed, making his yogurt, being the go-between the producers and him, and blah 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 blah. So I did that, and then I started working in food TV. So I was producing food shows, food travel, food competition, all that stuff, and I just loved it. And Brunch Boys was a total accident. There was no idea to get out of TV. It just in TV I was always freelance. I was always show to show, so I would have time between gigs. So I just made a couple of brunch videos between gigs, and then the account started taking off, and I was like, oh, this is kind of weird and fun. Maybe like this is 6 years ago. There are no influencers, there's no food accounts, there's no idea of making money doing this. But in TV, you have the freedom to sort of do what you want. So I'm like, oh, maybe we'll take a month off and do this. I was burnt out a little bit. And then it just exploded. And then I started making money, and I was like, oh, I guess I don't have to go back to TV.
That's incredible. So what do you think it was that kind of connected with your audience? Was it that, you know, brunch maybe wasn't a how do I want to put this, like a weird, like a part of the food industry that wasn't talked about maybe as much, or where's that
Mm-hmm.
connection? Because that's really cool.
100%. I think it's a lot of things. I mean, one, I happened to be early. Like when people discovered food accounts were a thing, I happened to have one. But the reason why I picked brunch and the reason why I was able to then still stand out and stand out to this day was I picked brunch as a topic because I knew from working in TV that traditional media didn't ever want to talk about brunch. In traditional media, I mean, this is 6 years ago. It's changed a little bit, but not really. It was when I would pitch a segment to do brunch, we'd be doing a food travel show, and we were going to, I don't know, wherever the hell we're going to, San Antonio. And I'm like, oh, I found this. So part of my job on those shows was to cast the show. So I do all the research, find the chefs, find the restaurants, blah, and then I pitch a network giving notes and blah, blah. So I would constantly pitch brunch dishes because that's just the kind of food that excites me, honestly. And the notes were always nobody outside of New York or LA knows or cares about what brunch is. So you can't do that because mainstream cable networks, that's not the audience. So when I knew I was going to do a project on my own, I was like, well, I love brunch. All my friends love brunch. The only reason I'm doing this is just to have fun, to be creative. So I'm going to pick brunch, knowing that no one else touches it. And that was it. From the beginning, there's always like, well, who else even focuses on brunch? There's literally nothing in the media world about brunch except for my Instagram account. So it helped me stand out from the beginning and stand out to this day.
That's really cool. Yeah, like I said, I find that so interesting because now it's literally, I mean, tons of articles about brunch. And I remember a lot of my friends in New York saying like there was a big like to do when like bottomless like brunch stopped. Like I thought they were gonna riot. Like I was I was very concerned. And you know and you got to have your avocado toast. It's like you're so right. Like brunch is very, very much a thing right now. And it's cool when you can kind of get ahead of the curve like that. I think when you create content, you're right. It's more about what are partially you getting out of this, like creatively, and then also what are you trying to give to your audience, which is something that's not really talked about. And I think that's the stuff that can really succeed online. So very much kudos to you for kind of like trusting your gut with that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I always say to everyone, like the easiest way to stand out is to be niche. Now brunch might not seem niche, but 6 years ago it kind of was a little bit. But even now, I'm always like, I just looked at the landscape when I was going to make these videos. Again, there's no idea to be an influencer, but when you want to create content, you want people to watch it. And I was like, all right, well, I'm on camera. I'm not a good host. I'm editing and putting these videos together. Yeah, I'm a pretty good producer, but I'm not the best producer. I'm not gonna. So these aren't gonna look the best. They're not gonna be the best. They're not gonna sound the best. They're not gonna be the best at it. So if I can't be the best at it, I have to at least be different enough. And that was my perspective on it.
I agree 100%. Like your content's never going to be perfect by your standards and like what you hold yourself accountable to. But I agree, yeah, as long as you're doing it, I think that's what separates like you or anyone else, making content than those that don't take that step. So I'm with you. I definitely encourage people if they are interested in sort of getting into creating content, do what you care about and
I
just
mean,
do it.
I've been telling all my friends, all my friends forever, they've always been very scared to produce video content because they're like, well, I don't have the skills at all. Like, I don't even know how to edit. It's just gonna look shitty. Like, at least I had that full backgrounds, even if I didn't think I was best at it. And I'm telling them now, I'm like, hello, like you turn on any TV show, they're all using Skype and Zoom. Like it all looks like shit. Now's your opportunity to be producing video content because it's a level playing field. This stuff you see on TV is worse looking than what you put on Instagram right now. So as long as you're creative, you could pump stuff out there.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, it's wow, and you're 100% correct. Anytime you turn on any kind of like talk show, it's exactly what you're talking about. Like it is definitely like our quality right now is 100% on par with what they're doing right now. And you're right. I think that's what makes it so cool. It's like we're at such a weird point in history where I feel like literally everyone is sort of living in a sense like the same life. We're all on a level to a degree playing field right now. So it's really
Mhm.
interesting that you say that. That's really cool. So the next thing I definitely want to talk about is food. That's 100% why I wanted to talk to you because I love your content and I actually disagree. I think you're a great host. I think your content's
We've
super
gotten
engaging.
better. I don't want people looking it up, but if you look at videos from 6 years ago, they were not good.
I'm
But
fine.
again, like anything, it's just practice. I mean, I got better at everything. I just did it over and over and over again and tried to do better. And when you do something every single day, I would hope you would get better at it.
I'm finding the links. They're going in the show notes. My content 6 years ago. I'm going on a deep dive after this. No, but yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I think when you don't take yourself too seriously, but you do care about what you're producing. I think that's what makes you a good match for what you do and for talking about food. And you're really knowledgeable. And yeah, I think it's super fun. So, I kind of definitely want to get into the New York food scene. If you could kind of talk a little bit, again, we're definitely talking about brunch here, but a little bit sort of take me back, gosh, what 2 months now, like life,
Mhm.
before all of this, and kind of now during this quarantine, where were you going to eat before this? Are you ordering anything now? And like, what's that process like?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very in terms of the food. So basically what I do is the when you see the content on my page or my pages, whatever, that's at a restaurant, I'm generally not there when they're open. Just because I'm filming and have lights, I'm set up, and it's just like it's a hassle when they're open. So I specifically either try and go when they're very quiet, or when they're closed, and because I got to be in the kitchen, blah blah. Anyway, So really what I would do is I'd probably most of my like restaurant eating was ordering in. Again, like life, I was used to this very much. So a lot of stuff I order in every single week. Very lucky that those restaurants have continued to remain open and I could order in and support them, which is nice. Um, so yeah, I mean, obviously it's tough. It's always tough for restaurants in New York. It's especially tough now and everywhere. So as much as I could sort of support them, so I'm ordering in a little bit more, but I honestly cook a lot for myself too. I just try and eat healthy that way. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so what are some of the restaurants that you're ordering from now? Like, and what are you getting?
Sure. So the heavy rotation of pretty much once a week or every other week is I sushi is my favorite food, and I love delivery sushi. Like there's a very specific type of like New York City delivery sushi that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. It's not like the greatest quality fish ever, but it's New York City delivery sushi. It's just the only way I could put it. So I order from this place called Kanahashi. They're in Greenpoint. They delivered to me. They're still delivering. I'm very happy I get to have that every single Friday night. There's a place that opened up recently or last year called Sakib. It's funny. It looks like a little hole in the wall. You walk by, like it looks like a dump. It literally opened last year. They just sort of made it look like that. Honestly, like even the letters are falling off. But it's Syrian and Jordan food, so like Middle Eastern food, I guess. It's been written up at a time, written up in Eater. It's amazing. They're very close to me, so we're ordering from there a lot. Um, what else do I usually order in? I've been ordering Chinese food from Birds of a Feather. They're still open in Williamsburg. So I mean, there's endless music. And what's cool too is there's a lot of restaurants that have never delivered before, but are now delivering. So it's a great way to experience restaurants that you might not have ever gotten to. Like I know Red Hook Tavern has been like their burger's gotten all this acclaim as like the best burger in New York City, but I don't really want to have to go out to Red Hook. Somehow they are delivering to my apartment. So that is on my list soon to order in and see. Now, when you order in delivery food, like it's never going to be the same as it going to a restaurant, especially a burger is going to be, I imagine, it's going to be tough to transport like that, but you'll get close enough and you sort of have to deal with it, you know?
Yeah, that's really fun. And yeah, it's nice to hear that there's still like a lot of restaurants, that are in business because it's a really tough time. It's really
Yeah, I mean,
scary.
that was one of the reasons. So my parents are in Westchester. That's where I grew up, just suburbs of New York City, I guess. And initially they were like, "Why don't you come home?" Blah blah. Blah. And I was like, "Absolutely not." I want like I wanted to keep more out for every reason. I was like, "Let me keep my consistency. Keep I could work out. I could be in my apartment. I could be happy." But one of the other things I told him was like, New York City specifically is so set up for delivery. Like these systems are already in place. Like you go to Westchester, like there's food delivery, but like there's not that many drivers, not that many restaurants doing it because it's not really how you do stuff in the suburbs. So in New York City, like there's a billion apps and there's a billion restaurants and they were all set up for this. They all pretty much know how to get delivery out. Their systems were in place. Even like food delivery for the first few weeks, I was able to get every Amazon delivery for Whole Foods. Now it's harder. But like if I just wait a few extra days, like I could get everything in New York City still, which I was like, that's going to be crucial.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear because I think, like I said, like one of my big concerns, like my two good friends that I was just telling you about that I was catching up this past weekend, they've been in New York. They both recently moved, but they were both in New York, gosh, for almost a decade. So I, yeah, I definitely wanted to hear kind of how the New York city food scene is doing because I mean, it's obviously like I'm in Pittsburgh and it's one of my favorite places to go and eat. I mean, it's like it's an event. Like I remember, gosh, it's probably been like maybe 5 years now. But my husband and I went to Mamafuku Noodle Bar, and it was just
Mm.
like my
So
thoughts exactly.
I think all the Momofuku places are closed except for I just found out. So they have their fried chicken sandwich fast casual spot called Fuku, and I just found out because I ordered it last week that they opened up. I believe it's just a ghost kitchen. I don't think it's from an actual Fuku location, but they're delivering to Brooklyn from that location. So I was able to order in Fuku last week, and I was like, oh shit, all right. Like I was never able to do that before. So
That's incredible. It was just such like it's just such a cool. It was such a cool experience. I'll never forget that. And I just I don't want to see that go away. You
mhm.
know. Yeah. What are kind of your thoughts like? on the food scene, once, eventually we're going to go back out into society, hopefully, what do you think that's gonna look like as far as, protocol in restaurants, what your job's going to look like when you go out to places now? Like, do you think you're going to have to, I don't know, wear gloves, be more secure? Like, do you have any opinion on that or any thoughts of where that's going?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's particularly going to be hard on restaurants is if they were able to open tomorrow, that doesn't help them. Especially in New York City, the profit margins are razor thin, and to make money, you have to have your restaurant packed every single second, and they can't do that. Legally, there's no way they're going to be able to have a packed restaurant for a very long time. So even reopening just means they're going to lose more money than they would be not being open. Um, so I think there's going to be a shift in terms of finding what works for them, whether that's, if they cut back the staff and they cut back the food, maybe that saves them enough. Certainly, if there's uh, government assistance in terms of rent control a little bit, that will help them tremendously because that's by far the biggest expense of a restaurant. So if they know that they can make rent and pay their employees, they could stay open. I think you're going to see still a shift of, I think it's going to depend on what people want. You're seeing that in Georgia right now where restaurants are able to reopen, but no one's going there. So if they're not even comfortable with that, okay, you take a restaurant, well, the ones that you're going to see places open up because it's going to be an opportunity. I think the things you're going to see opening that are new are going to be much more fast casual to go delivery places only, where there's no option to sit and eat. That's short. You're short staff. You could have a smaller menu. You could really focus on that, and you could succeed there. It's going to be the bigger restaurants are going to have a real big issue reopening and making money. Honestly, it might be cheaper for them to not be open because you at least save on electricity, salary, and food costs, and you could get by on rents with whatever it is, a loan or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it was I was listening to Dave Chang, the chef, from Momofuku, and I was listening to a podcast with his CEO, and I heard when I heard her say they pay out, I think, forgive me, I'd have to go back and listen, but I think she said $500,000. I almost want to say she said a week for salary with no revenue coming in,
Oh.
and my mind exploded. Like, I can't imagine. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that's something that is definitely concerning to me because I love to eat.
Mhm.
I love food, and I also, you're right. Like, I don't always want to be in a crowded restaurant or trying to get into the hip like spot, like especially in Pittsburgh. Like, our food scene's grown and it's gotten really exciting. We have a few spots like that, but typically it's pretty easy to eat around here and get in places. It's not quite, obviously on that level as a New Yorker or LA, but I do still like that idea of a vibe of being kind of around people as much as I call myself an extroverted introvert, and
Same.
yeah, and it's like it's so weird when I, walk around the city and it's like you just don't even walk past people really anymore. And I definitely like that experience of sitting down in a restaurant, getting multiple dishes, and yeah,
Yeah.
I very much look forward to that. Where are you looking forward to going when all of this is done?
I mean, like I said, a lot of places I really love, I'm still able to get. But two places, Gato is one of my favorites. That's Bobby Flay's restaurant. And Black Seed Bagel, one of my favorite bagels. They stopped. They were delivering for a week or two, and then just for, I think more so for their employee safety, they're like, we just have to shut down. So I will be eating those two things as soon as I can.
Nice, nice. Well, I don't want to take up much more of your morning, but one of the last things I definitely wanted to go over is I'd love to hear from you, like maybe like 1 to 3 really simple things that you would suggest to people to make at home right now. I know you said you're cooking a lot at home. Obviously, we're still going to be quarantined another few weeks. I'm hearing, rumblings of till the end of the summer now, potentially. But yeah, what would you suggest maybe people making at home that's really easy, fun?
So what I do generally, situation or no situation, I guess, is I cook once a week and then I will reuse that the whole week and I eat a lot of the same things. So some things you cook that you could easily reheat or eat cold. Um, I make I make salmon. Unfortunately, I can't find salmon right now, and literally I ate salmon every single day for dinner for over a year, so whatever. But if you can find salmon or chicken, cook that off, and I eat it on just like salad and Japanese sweet potatoes, normal sweet potatoes. Like all these things are I cook. I want like no mess and no steps. So when I say simple, like I take the salmon, I will throw some salt and pepper on it and throw it in the oven and cook it for half an hour, and then I'll garnish with whatever I want because that's how you switch it up. Then every night, so you don't feel like you're eating the same thing, I'll garnish it with something different. So okay, tonight I'll use this, Thai sauce. Tomorrow I'll use this Mediterranean sauce, whatever it is. It's very versatile in that way. Breakfast too. What I've been doing is my normal breakfast is like an egg white scramble with one egg yolk, and then I whip that up in 2 seconds. But I'm like, okay, well, how could I have a little bit more fun with this now that I'm feeling like I just want to have some sort of something different in my life. So I made like little egg white bites that I posted on Instagram the other day, and like I made like 12 at a time. I made a few of them, and you put them in the fridge, and then you reheat them in the microwave. Like it's all very like I want it to be easy and simple and pretty healthy. That's sort of my approach to how I cook for myself. So, which I think is a good lesson.
I love it. And it's really versatile too. Like you
Mm.
said, switch up your seasonings, put different ingredients in the egg bites. Really, really easy and a nice way to switch
Yep.
things up too. I agree. That's really cool. I love that. Well, now I'm gonna go make and eat all the things. I am super hungry. It was so nice to be able to chat with you, but obviously I want people to be able to find your content. I've been checking it out for a while now. I think it's super fun. So please tell my listeners where they can find all of your fun videos, food recommendations, all that fun stuff.
Right. It's pretty simple. It's Brunch Boys everywhere. So Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, I'm having more fun with. Twitter, I'm trying to get back to. I've decided that with my extra time, I'm going to show love to these social channels that I haven't in a while. So TikTok and Snapchat, whatever. If you were listening to this podcast world and you're like, well, I want to hear more Brunch Boys podcast stuff, I don't really do brunch per se stuff. There's a Brunch Boys podcast out there, but whatever. But I do have a classic wrestling podcast that I actually update every single week, and that's called Monday Night Pod. You could type in Brunch Boys too, and that'll pop up. So there's not a big cross section of like that audience, but if you happen to be in that cross section of loving brunch and you used to be a wrestling fan or are still a wrestling fan, you will enjoy that podcast immensely.
I love that, Jeremy. Thank you so much for taking time out. Like I said, I know you're super busy, and also on top of it being a very strange time. But yeah, I was really looking forward to this. And like I said, I love your content. I think it's super fun, and keep at it. I can't wait to see what you do next. I'm very excited.
Thank you.